Uncertainty driving markets this morning. Investors focusing on the 2020 presidential election, and as the results are still coming in, futures have been all over the map. Dow Industrials this morning down 77. The Nasdaq has been firm throughout the night today, and it continues this morning up 270 points right now, 2.5%, and the S&P is higher by 14.75. This after stocks surged yesterday, closing near the highs of the day before any of the results were in. Investors betting on more stimulus. And, of course, clarity really leading this. Dow Industrials up 554 points. I still think that this market would not be trading this way if it weren't baked in that investors believe President Trump gets a second term. Dow Industrials with a 555-point gain yesterday. The Nasdaq up 202. S&P higher by 58 yesterday. Joining me right now is Lebenthal Global Advisors President Dominick Tavella. Dominick, thanks very much for being here. Early in the morning, here we have the election that we're still parsing through. What's your reaction?
Well, I think you brought up one of the real critical points, and that is that markets like clarity. Whether Trump wins the election or Biden at the end of the day, they want to know what the rules of the game are. They want to know what the taxing structure is going to look like, the regulatory structure is going to look like. And I think what we're seeing right now, at least today, with where the futures are, Trump is a known quantity, and the fact that the Senate looks like it's going to stay Republican is huge, because even if Biden were to squeak in, they would act as a buffer, as a control on any wacko legislation that might come out of Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, going into this, as markets were rallying before the election, Wall Street firms were trying to put a good face on stimulus. I mean, I just can't believe that this market would rally because we're going to get massive spending programs should Joe Biden win the presidency. I was siding with, much more that investors were thinking maybe clarity. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint why the markets have been up for 2 straight days in the triple digits. But what do you think? Do you think that markets could actually rally because we're going to see these huge spending programs?
If you look at the polling data, you saw the race really narrowing over the last couple of days. So I think investors in general are starting to get a little bit of a sense that this might go the other way. And then certainly a lot of people on Wall Street were trying to make this argument that if the Democrats were to sweep, that we would have this ginormous, massive stimulus package coming out of the Democratic side of the fence here. But we know that there's no free lunch, and such a spending measure would be accompanied by a taxing measure to pay for it. So they were trying to play this as a Democratic sweep would be really positive. I find that one really hard to believe.
It is not positive at all with a Democratic sweep. I totally agree. The October jobs report out, meanwhile, this Friday. Let's talk fundamentals, regardless of where this goes. Economists are expecting 600,000 jobs added to the economy last month for the month of October. They're expecting the unemployment rate to tick down to 7.6%, a 6th month in a row of the unemployment situation ticking down, Dominick. This is on top, of course, of that 33.1% GDP number last week. What are you expecting from the jobs number this Friday? And what do you say about the backdrop in terms of the economy right here?
So what we're seeing literally on a weekly, monthly basis is obviously with the GDP report that the economy is in recovery mode. But what we're also seeing is it's starting to slow down. And that's because the PPP money has run out for the most part. And major companies out there have said, you know what, we can't hold on any longer. So you're seeing small business owners that are shuttering doors. You're seeing large companies going, we're going to have to start laying people off. So you have this seesaw where the economy is starting to pick up some steam and starting to grow. But the flip side of it is it's mostly on the employment side. Companies are really holding on with their fingertips. So we do need stimulus to come in here, but it must be very targeted. This cannot be helicopter money with trillions of dollars just being spread through the sky.
Yeah, I wonder if we get a stimulus package during the lame duck session, it's going to be a lot lower than the $2 trillion each sides were talking about before this election. But we'll watch that. Dominick, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks for getting up early for us. What a night. Dominick Tavella, good to see you, sir.